Welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the Answer is Yes podcast. Thanks for tuning in. This is Montana life I'm living here. I've got my neighbor in the room, Kyle. Kyle, how are we doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Good. Well, I've got Kyle's been talking to me about hunting and all the things that people do up here in Montana. I've gotten really excited about the potential to learn how to bow hunt and just go out on a regular hunt. And in those conversations, he had mentioned a website, a podcast called Elkshape. And we've got Dan on the line who actually started that. Dan, how are you this morning?
Hey, guys. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
So I listened to your last couple of podcasts, which are phenomenal, by the way. You definitely add a ton of value by offering some discounts and workout tips and all these other things. But were you just on a bear hunt?
Yeah, I literally got home last night from bear hunting. Last couple of days in Idaho.
Wow. So how did it go? Any luck?
Well, it was awesome to get away from kind of all the nonsense going on right now in the real world. And I saw 4 different bears, and that's a great way to start off the season. I got one stalk in and got to 30 yards from a bear and decided to not shoot. And just was out in the mountains, saw a lot of animals. Oh man, I felt like my batteries just got recharged overnight. It was awesome.
Yeah, nothing like being out there. I spent all day yesterday up near Pole Bridge enjoying the outdoors. Kyle spent the day in his yard.
Yeah, I had the honey-do list.
Raking some dirt. Dan, I would love to hear your background and how the business side of what you do got started and maybe what you did before that and how you developed the skill set to start Elkshape and your podcast and all the things that you're doing now.
Yeah, no problem. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm still on it, so I feel like I've not arrived. Always kind of had that mindset, and so basically, I am a strength and conditioning coach at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. If you distill it down, I'm probably best at helping people achieve their goals and improve their performance. So started out that way right out of college. Was a personal trainer to put myself through undergrad and graduate school. Got to do some really cool internships for my graduate degree, worked with some professional athletes in Arizona and New Jersey. Eventually opened up a speed school for a guy in Boise, Idaho. So I kind of moved all around, just getting reps on, being a strength coach, being a performance coach. And the short story is we had this speed school dedicated to getting athletes, probably early teens all the way up to college, getting them speed development and change of direction and elasticity, plyometrics and strength and injury prevention. And the business model was good, but man, kids are in school all day. And the business owner was just getting on me to create some other revenue streams. So we created an adult fitness class during the day. And I needed ideas because I was only accustomed to working with athletes kind of one-on-one, not group training. So I did some research and stumbled across CrossFit.com. This is back in 2005 and 2006. So it was a very rudimentary website, very basic. And I saw the workouts and I thought they were stupid. And I thought they were a recipe for disaster. But somehow I really did. I was very, a lot of strength coaches still think CrossFit's probably not the greatest idea, but there's some good principles there, I must say. And so I started dabbling and doing a little bit of CrossFit. And then next thing you know, that's all I did for my workouts. And I had this adult fitness class doing CrossFit. And I got so hooked that I actually moved back home to Spokane, Washington, and opened my own CrossFit gym. And that was in 2007. And I ran that for 11 years. And all the while, I really loved it. But at some point, I felt like I'd kind of hit my head on the ceiling. I didn't see a lot of room for more growth, a little burnout. And I was still really a passionate hunter. Always have been. My dad raised me as a hunter, took me out when I was little, got my hunter safety card in Washington when I was 10, shot my first big buck when I was 13, played high school sports and kind of didn't hunt. And then once I got out of once I got out of high school, I jumped right back into hunting. So in 2010, when I was still running my gym, I started a business called Train to Hunt, and with a partner, and we created these workout challenges to get hunters excited about being in shape for hunting. Because there's a stigma that there's a lot of like redneck, Bubba hunters that just drive around and shoot out the window. And that was quite the opposite experience of us Western hunters. We were hiking in for miles and miles, and hunting was hard. Yeah. And so we created a workout program for hunters. Long story short is that partner and I eventually dissolved our partnership. I sold my interest to him. And then in 2013, I wanted to still do something. And I didn't really want to train people for hunting. I wanted to train people for elk hunting specifically, because elk hunting is my fire. That is my passion. That is what I live for. Besides my faith and family, is I live to hear big bulls bugling out west. So I started Elkshape, and people always kind of use the word, hey, I want to get into Elkshape, because elk hunting's hard. Mm-hmm. You have to, they don't just stay in the same area. They're very nomadic. They live in the mountains. And so I created that business, and I didn't do much with it. And then somewhere along the line, I think in 2000, I'd say 18, I developed these Elkshape camps, and I hosted them in my town. So people would fly in, and from long distances like Kansas, Pennsylvania, they'd fly in and they'd want to learn how to elk hunt from me. And so I'd host these little 10 to 20 athlete camps at my gym. And all of a sudden it just kind of took off from there. I had started the podcast. I had started a YouTube channel and some social platforms. And I kind of was like, I reached a point, and this might pertain to your podcast, where I needed to say yes. And what I did was I said yes to going all in on Elkshape, selling my gym, which, that takes a while to find a buyer. Yeah, I think I went through 3 people. I went through 3 people until I finally got the right guy to buy the gym. And it was my baby. So I really wanted to get it to the right person. So felt like God was calling me to exit. So sold the gym last June and went all in on Elkshape, which is very scary. Left a nice salary and a nice reliable income, and went to complete digital media and Elkshape camps. And here I am today, and I'm all in on it.
Well, it's an exciting transition through your career to get to where you're at, actually living, dreaming your passion here of Elkshape. You talked about splitting ways with your partner early on that other business. So does that mean to say that you were making some money and you guys had a little bit of clientele over there, and it was actually something that you could divide up at the time?
Yeah, we definitely were viable enough to where he went and did Train to Hunt full time. Mm-hmm. I think we had a really good partnership. We were really good friends, which, I don't know if I recommend going into business with friends per se, but him and I are still friends to this day, but we just had a different style, and it came to a head where I just felt like it would be better if just one of us did it. And we just focused all our energy. I would just focus on the gym. He would focus on that. So we decided it would be best to part ways, and it was a good split, and I don't regret it. And he still owns it to this day and is still working hard at it. So yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, from a business perspective, we're always so quick to jump into business with a friend or buddy, somebody that we've been around, because if you have a lot of mutual, things that you have in common. But as you mentioned, it's not always the best thing. I appreciate that you got out early before it turned into a bad thing for you guys. But it also, takes a certain amount of candor and understanding what you're doing to pull the trigger and separate ways, which, that you did because you maintained your friendship together.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we had different work styles, different communication, and you just got to be real with each other and have that open, honest dialogue about, the direction you're headed. And I think we split at a right time. I think it could have gotten way worse. And I know that stuff happens. I would say that we didn't have an exit strategy when we started. No one ever remembers to do that in the beginning. Is that, it's always like, oh, this is going to be the best thing ever. And in hindsight, we obviously should have had an exit strategy in writing once we did our formation. But live and learn,
Yeah, and I'm sorry to dwell on that. I know it's a quick part of your story, but I think it's an important understanding for our listeners that are going to get into business or looking at opportunities, that there is a lot of things that go along with that. A good idea and a buddy that you want to get in business with, that there's much more to meet the eyes and a lot of challenges that can come along with that. So the gym was a success, but you decided to go all in on Elkshape. You mentioned before the show you got a wife and kids. You referred to them already. How did you convince them that it was the right thing for you to do, to go all in on Elkshape when you've got a salary with the gym and things probably felt pretty stable?
Yeah, so my wife's amazing. She's super supportive. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have these ideas coming and going, and she's pretty, I would say, used to me always kind of like dreaming up new ideas, and she knows I don't like to stand still, and she was all about it, man. She knows my fire for elk hunting and helping people, and she was like, this is just a collision course of your passion for fitness and your passion for hunting. And quite honestly, we're not rich, but we're rich in time, which is, like, to me, the number one commodity. And we've been very disciplined in our finances. So we were in a position to where it's not like I sold the gym for millions of dollars. It's just a CrossFit gym. Let me say that. But we were in a position where I could take a risk, and we kind of had a 2-year plan where give Elkshape all you got, and then in 2 years reevaluate. And so we're still a year out. My crystal ball shows that it's viable enough to move forward, but you still have to have your checks and balances, if you will, and be honest with yourself. And it's a little scary being 100% digital brand, and but I can tell you right now, my sponsors have noticed for sure. My listeners, I mean, I just have all this more time economy to give it everything I got. So more podcasts, better YouTube videos, better content on socials, just more email marketing, all those things that are really hard to do when you have another job. Mm-hmm. But I did do both for so long that I still can't believe, I don't know how I did it, but you just, entrepreneurs, we just find a way, So yeah. It's been nice to just do one.
What a great time to be digital with this COVID virus going around, and we're all stuck at home in our home offices.
Yeah, so that's funny you say that, because I know a lot of people are really like special mental health right now. It's just like they're freaking out, like they're ready to get back like to normal. But I'm super blessed to have like created a social distancing life. I have a house with all the things you could ever need, like my home gym, my own archery range, my own archery bow shop. And then I do all my things from home. So I haven't had much change for me, but I feel for those that have. It's really hard.
Yeah, Kyle and I were bouncing back and forth. He was asking me or telling me it's tough, getting away. What were you saying?
Oh, it's just trying to balance the normal, having a full-time job, having a full-time family, wife, kids, and then actually finding time to hunt at the same time and having them be